Good afternoon. Today I'm talking on nonviolence and children. I believe children should never be rewarded or punished. Punishments are artificial consequences of their actions. I do believe in natural consequences. I think children should be allowed to feel the natural results of their own actions. But rewards and punishments are manipulative. Their purpose is to get the children to do what the person rewarding them wants. This is not what the child needs. The adult should give the child what he needs to be able to learn. My little niece, maybe about 4 or 5 years old, had the habit of every once in a while screaming very loud. It was enough. I'm going to have to start over on this if I keep sneezing. Screaming very loud. It was enough to make me or anyone in charge of her afraid she'd break a blood vessel. She wouldn't stop. I probably told her to. Then, since I didn't believe in punishment and I was afraid the next door neighbor would hear her and think I was abusing her, I put my hand over her mouth. But she continued screaming through her nose with the air going through her nose. Then I'd cover her nose and her mouth, but not, of course, long enough to keep her from breathing. I loved my niece. And finally, she would stop. But her father had a different method. He would tell her to stop several times, threatening to hit her if she didn't. With each threat, she'd scream louder until he'd finally hit her, and then she'd stop. She would first defiantly scream more and more as if expressing her increasing rebellion against the injustice of his threats. One day when I was alone with her, she started up. I said, "No matter how much you scream, I'm not going to hit you." She stopped immediately, and as far as I know, she never screamed after that. I never heard of her screaming again. I don't believe in punishment, even if it's nonviolent, because for it to change behavior, I think it has to be connected to some real violence. If children are told to write 10 times, "I will be good," all they have to do is to refuse to write it. But if they feel or see that there may be a real violence that they would suffer if they refuse, they will have a different attitude. They won't just refuse, they'll probably write it. So, in other words, the nonviolent punishment is connected to violence very often in those situations. One time I put my nephew on timeout, which was located on the stairs at his house. I was thinking it was an acceptable nonviolent technique. He had been acting up, and when I saw what looked like all the life went out of him in his very disheartened reaction to my putting him there, I decided never to put him on timeout again. I realized that I didn't know what spanking or whatever he may have connected from his history with timeout, from his historical experience. I didn't know either why he so quickly went to timeout without any resistance when I told him to go there. The violence of punishment distorts learning. What children learn may be to fear a certain adult or to use punishment themselves in their relationships with weaker children. It inhibits holistic learning by causing fear in children. I substitute taught one time at Montefiore School in Chicago for children with behavior disorders. I didn't last long due to my philosophy, but one time while I was still there, the disciplinarian came into my class and demanded that a certain boy do his paperwork correctly or he'd take him out to such and such a place. The implicit threat was understood by the boy, and I even caught on that he would corporally punish him in that place. The boy became immobilized, not even being able to write his name on the paper, as the disciplinarian stood over him demanding perfect work. Witnessing the reaction of this boy made me realize what the cause of other cases also of a certain lack of activity probably was. Fear of making a mistake and being punished. I once had a student who did absolutely no work for all the hours I was in the room substituting. Perhaps this student had been punished in the past for mistakes in work he had done. So he just figured, I better not do any work because I might make a mistake and then I'll be punished. I think once children become used to being manipulated by rewards and punishments, they become hard to deal with without them. There are many good things they won't do and many bad things they won't stop doing unless artificial rewards or punishments are given to them. And they may increase the ante also. They become manipulative and then they want more. I'll do that if you give me this reward, and want more and more as they get older. And maybe by the time they're adults, they're going to want something other than sweets. They might want drugs. As a substitute teacher, I've taught many children who behaved well, even when they knew I didn't believe in punishment. But there were others who didn't seem to be able to control themselves with such freedom. One time I asked a freshman at Wauwatosa East High School, which is in a suburb of Milwaukee, why he had acted so wildly in our math class. He answered straightforwardly, because you said you wouldn't punish us no matter what we did. He also said he'd never had that chance before in his life. I have a friend with an extremely hyper and badly behaved 7-year-old child. She threatens him to keep him under control. If she would stop punishing him now, it would be even harder to handle him. It would have been much easier if she had started with no artificial consequences when he was much smaller. Now, if she continues with threats and punishment, he'll get worse and worse until he's bigger than she is. It would be worth it to stop the chain reaction, although it would be much more difficult than at an earlier age. So I would recommend, even for a 7-year-old, not to use rewards and punishment, even though it's extremely difficult. And very often parents don't have time to watch their children all the time. And the older they get, the stronger they get and the harder they are to control. When children are small and their caregivers have enough energy, they can, without hurting the children, physically force them to do what's right. I feel this is not violent because they are not intimidated or hurt in the process. But I feel the caregiver should watch out for other children's misunderstanding and how they might make fun of the child. This may be more effective when limited to one child and when others are not noticing. I remember physically making my niece pick up her things. I actually held her hand over each little article she was to pick up. Usually other children I'd done this with in daycare had at least picked them up on their own when I'd moved their hands in the direction of the articles to be picked up. But my niece had somehow gotten by me when my niece had somehow gotten by me when she was younger, and she was not inclined toward neatness at the age of 5. I did this exercise with her of holding my hand over her hand and making her pick up each article. So I actually had to be picking them up. She actually held her hands limp. And I had to move them around the object and pull her hands up and let go of her hands to let go of the object over where it belonged. She found this immensely funny, which is far from violent. Now I understand from her sister that she at 28 is very neat and definitely the neater of the two sisters. The other sister, whom I had done this with at an earlier age, was quite neat by 5. Another time I used physical discipline was with my nephew, another guinea pig of my nonviolent effort. He was about 7 and doing something wrong with his hands. I think he may have been probably was hitting his little sister, one of them. We were on the side of their house where there was a cement area, steps, and the driveway. I controlled him by holding both his hands with one of mine. One hand was free to do with as I pleased. Later on, when he was maybe 21, he said he used to always hate it when I did that. He felt so terrible not being able to move. But he added that it was all right because it was nonviolent. I don't know if he was just trying to tell me what I wanted to hear, because now at 30, I think he's pro-war and voted for Bush. Let me see how many more minutes I have. I have a few more minutes. I think I better leave it at that and continue on the next part next time. Thank you for listening.